In this question, we will use de Moivre's theorem to solve problems. De Moivre's theorem is given like this. If we have a complex number, that is an imaginary part and a real part together, then we can raise its power using de Moivre's theorem. So if you want to raise this, say, to the power n, then you need to raise the radius to the power n and then multiply n along the angle of cosine and sine. The theta will be the same value. Remember, here it must be in this form, that is r cosine theta plus I sine theta. That is in polar form. If at all it's in rectangular form, you need to convert to polar form and then solve it up. Let's look into a problem. Here you can see this is the rectangular form. 2 plus 2 root 3 I. If you recall the formula, now what are these terms? You can write it as x and y or a and b, various ways. I'll just take it as a and b. What is the radius? Square root of a squared plus b squared. Now what is the angle theta? Theta is tan inverse b divided by a. But here there is a very important condition. This is the formula when a is positive. If a is negative, then you need to add pi, that is 180 degrees or pi. So let's solve it up. What happens with r? R is square root of 2 squared plus 2 root 3 the whole square. Just use calculator to solve these, and theta will be tan inverse of b is 2 root 3 divided by 2. And theta will be tan inverse of root 3, that is 60 degrees, or pi by 3, sorry. This cancels. So you just put in the calculator, no need of doing it by solving. First I'll do this r, that is 2 squared plus, use the brackets, 2 root 3 square root 3, close the bracket, next, and then close the bracket and square it up. The answer is 4, that is r. What about this? It's tan inverse, that is shift and tan, inverse of square root 3. Close the bracket. It'll be 60 degrees, but we need everything in terms of pi. Just stick to radian. Yes, you can use degrees and stuff, but just stick to radians. Is that okay? Shift and more than 4, that gives you pi by 3, or 1/3 of pi. So r is equal to 4, and this is pi by 3. So now what is the polar form of this given question? Instead of writing whatever is inside over here, I'm going to write r into cosine theta plus I sine theta. That will be equal to 4 times cosine pi by 3 plus I, that is the imaginary part, sine pi by 3. Now, how much powers do I need to raise this by? I need to raise it by power 6. So what happens over here is this power will be 4, radius will be raised to the power 6. But this cosine, you need to write 6 multiplied by pi by 3 plus I sine 6 multiplied by pi by 3. This is it, and that's the total one. And now let's put in the calculator. You can solve these all individually in the calculator, and then you can write the final answer. 4 raised to power 6 will be 4096. 4096 here. And what about cosine? This is going to be 2 pi. Cosine 2. Shift and pi here. The reason for me to write 2 pi is 6 divided by 3 is 2. Or you can write it as 6. Okay, this is wrong. 6 pi divided by 3. So this is how we write it. It's 1. And then over here, sine will be 0. Sine 2 pi will be 0. So here the real part is 1 plus I times 0. That is imaginary part. So what's going to be the answer? So this, here we have 1 plus 0. Basically, it's 1 itself. Okay, because I times 0 is 0. So that will be 4096. That is the answer. If you raise this given rectangular form by power 6, which has imaginary, you will have 4096 as the answer. So here we go. And that's the final answer. Let's do all these problems. I would highly encourage you to pause the video now, try all these problems by yourselves, and then continue watching if you have done any mistake or error. Here, First thing, I'm not going to write all the formulas again and again. R equals square root. Now, what is A value? Be careful. Don't consider this as A. Not at all. It is minus 5 plus 12i, the whole power 3. You need to know the first real part is A, imaginary part is B, because it's given in the form of A plus BI. And here we have minus 5 the whole square plus 12 the whole square. That'll be R. And over here for theta, it is tan inverse of, what do we have? 12 is B by A, but A is negative, minus. So plus pi, because A is negative, minus. Okay. So we just put in the calculator, you will get the values. Make sure your calculator is in radian mode. If it's not, press shift mode and then 4. We have square root. Because it's minus, let's open the brackets. You can just take the value, because whenever we square minus, it becomes positive. Plus 12 squared, and the answer is 13. So R is equal to 13. What about theta? Theta will be shift and tan, that's over here. 12 divided by minus 5, close the bracket, and plus pi. If it's in degree, it's 180. Let's just put pi, that's more easier. It's 1.97. I'll just take it as 1.967. 1.97. Or you can take 4 decimal points, it'll be 1.9656. Now then, what do we need to do? We have to solve using de Moivre's theorem. So here, de Moivre's theorem will be, first let me write it in the polar form. This particular question will be equal to R times cosine theta plus I sine theta. Here we have R is 13 times cosine. Now it's 1.97. It's not written in terms of pi, but that's fine. This value, you need to put it properly. And sine 1.97. This everything is raised to the power how much? 3. So that is going to be 13 to the power 3 times cosine, sorry, not theta, cosine 3 times 1.97 plus I sine 3 times 1.97. That is how we use the powers here. And that is it. So we will use our calculators and solve what is 13 cubed, cosine 3 times 1.97 and sine 3 times 1.97. So here it's 13 cubed, that is 2197. So the first value is 2197. What about cosine and sine values? Cosine 3 times 1.97, close the bracket. The answer is 0.93. It's 0.93 plus I times, over here all you need to do is change this from cosine to sine. Only one sine, and here we go. It is minus 0.36. So everything together, that will be 2197 times. This is fine, but this will be minus 0.36 I. Now it's not over. You need to multiply this value inside to both of these terms. So it'll be 2197 multiplied by, let's do 0.93. That's going to be, let me put it as 93. That's going to be 2043. I'll just write it as a whole number, I think, so that's fine. Minus, now this one over here will be 36. But it is minus. You can just write this and then write minus sign. That is also fine. You can write it as 791i. I've just rounded it off because they have not told any decimal points or anything. So even if you write this, you will get the full marks. Not to worry. So here you can see. See now, what's the issue here? They have got 2035 and I've got these variations. The reason being, they have, okay, for sure they have not taken 1.97. They have taken other decimal values. See, literally they have taken the exact value. Look over here, they have taken the exact value. That means all the decimal points are included. Therefore, they're getting this. Now, when we correct your papers, we will look into the variations. Now, this is varying a lot. We have just rounded off to 2 decimal points. Don't worry, this value will be correctly assessed. You will get full marks for this. Or if you have taken 4 decimal points, you will get the full marks. Not to worry, the variation is little. Now, you might be thinking, oh my god, this is completely different. The variation, because you're cubing it, right? The error multiplies. That is the reason, okay? But it's fine. This is correct answer itself. In your exam, to be on the safer side, what you can do is instead of 797, you can take what we had got 9656 or 36, I guess, something like that. 9656 or whatever. Take 4 decimal points. You will get much accurate answer. Now let's do the next one. Here, now this is very easy. Why? Because it's in the polar form. All you need to do is 4 to the power 4 cosine 4 times pi by 2 plus I sine pi by 2. 4 times pi by 2. Now we'll just put it in the calculator. It's 4 raised to the power 4. It's going to be 256. That is 256. Now if you know the values here, it'll be cosine 2 pi. 2 pi it's 1 and over here it's going to be 0. You can directly write it, but anyways, we will double check our values into pi by 2. That is pi here divided by 2. Sorry, it's 4 times, not 2 times. 4 times, so it's cosine. It's 1, and now just remove this cosine to sine and it will be 0. So we have 1 plus I times 0. So it's going to be 256 times 1. That's the answer. 256 will be the final answer. Here we go. What about this one? Here we need to find the radius and the theta value. R will be equal to square root of square root 3 the whole square plus, now here it is minus 1 the whole square. What about theta? It is tan inverse of b. B is minus 1, but that doesn't matter. Only value, if the denominator value was negative, then we had to add pi. Here, nothing else. This is it. So now we just put in the calculator and you'll get the values. Square root of square root 3, it's just going to be 3. Okay, square root of again square root 3 whole square plus minus 1. It's just going to be 4. Square root of 4. The answer will be 2. And over here it's tan inverse of minus 1 by root 3. Please remember here, it is not going to be plus pi. Why? Because the b value, the denominator is positive itself. So answer is minus pi by 6. That's it. Here, if at all, see now this is the answer, right? If at all the denominator was minus, that is b value, a value. If it was minus root 3, then yes, we had to add a pi. So here r is equal to 2, theta is equal to minus pi by 6. So this would be the answer. Now what next? So once we have r and theta, we can write it in the form of r of cosine theta plus I sine theta. This is the polar form of imaginary numbers, complex numbers. So it's 2 into cosine. Remember the sine minus pi by 6 plus I sine minus pi by 6. See, how much is the power we're raising? It's power 3. So this is going to be 2 to the power 3 times cosine 3 times minus pi by 6. You just put in the calculator, so just write it out. Writing is very important here. Sine times 3 times minus pi by 6. And that's it. So we'll just put in the calculator and we'll get the values. It's 8. And it's going to be pi by 2. That's 1, I believe. So we'll just use calculator. Cosine 3, especially when there's minus sign and all, just to be on the safer side, pi by 6. Close it up over here. It's 0. Sorry. Oh yes, you start with pi by 2 will be 90 degrees, so it's 0. Yes. And what about sine? There's going to be 1. Sorry, minus 1 because there's minus. Yeah, it'll be minus pi by 2. Correct. So it is 0 and minus 1 here. 0 plus I times minus 1. So it'll be 8 times minus I. So it's minus 8I. That will be the final answer. So this is it. You can see the final answer will be minus 8I. Um, Here you can see they have not written the minus sign. It's very important to write the minus sign. Here I can see this error. It's minus over here everywhere. It should have been minus. So we are getting minus 1. Yes. Now we can. Okay, they have missed the minus sign here itself, but I'll show you why the solution set is wrong. Here we have sine 3 times minus pi by 6, it's minus 1. But what if I remove this minus sign? It's going to be positive 1. It's entirely wrong. Here this answer should have been plus 8, but the correct answer is what we had got as well. It is minus 8I, but here they have missed out the minus signs. Next one, again, we need to convert into complex form and then use De Moivre's theorem. It will be square root of 3 squared plus minus 5 the whole square. And theta is tan inverse of b is minus 5 divided by a. Again, we don't add pi because a value is positive, only the b is negative. Square root of 3 square plus minus 5 the whole square. Here we go, that is square root 34. Let us write it as square root 30. It's 3 squared. Yeah, it's going to be square root 34. Let's write it as square root 34 itself. Because if you take decimal points, then the final answer will vary a bit. But that's absolutely fine. You can take it as here 5.83 as well. But let's stick to square root 34. Now, what about this? It's tan inverse. See, as long as it's in radian mode, it's fine. If not, please shift it to radian mode. It is minus 5 divided by 3, close the brackets. And here we go. It is negative 1.03. Minus 1.03. You can use this entire thing in the answer, but it's just too much things to write. So now I'm just going to use the formula directly. It'll be r to the power 4 multiplied by cosine 4 times theta. You multiply it plus I sine 4 times theta. 4 theta. Why? Because we're raising it to the power 4. So let's substitute. It's 34 square root 34 the whole raised to power 4, and we have cosine 4 times minus 1.03 plus I sine 4 times minus 1.03. Here we go. So all you do is put in the calculator all these values and you will get the answer. Square root 34, press next and close the bracket and raise it to the power 4. The answer is 1156. Here 1156. Next, what we do is cosine 4 times minus 1.03. It's not 103, it's 1.03, my bad. And here we go, the answer is minus 0.56. Minus 0.56. And what about sine? All you do is, okay, not this. Okay, this one. Just change it by sine. And it is positive 0.83 plus I 0.83. Now we have to multiply 1156 throughout these both values. So here if I multiply 1156, see, this might vary. It'll be 959. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take only 2 decimal points because I'd consider only 2 decimal points elsewhere. It is, yeah, it's almost the same. So it is I 959.5. What about the left side, the real part? That is 0.56 times 1156. The answer is 647.4. Remember, it will be minus. Why? Because I have not added the minus sign here. So it will be minus 0.56. So the answer will be minus 0.6. Sorry, not 0. It is 647.4. So this is the final answer. So here we go. That'll be the final answer. Now, you can see our answers are not exactly same, but it's very, very close, and that's absolutely fine. You will get full marks for this. It's almost 960, and over here it's 644 minus 644. So there we go. If you have taken the exact value, see over here they have taken tan inverse minus 5 by 3, you will get these. But it's fine, even if you take decimal points, you will get full marks. Now let me do this one here. This is gonna be r equals square root 2 square plus 4 square. Theta equals tan inverse of 4 by 2. And r equals theta equals, let's use a calculator and find the answers. Square root 2 square plus 4 square, that's gonna be 2 root 5 or square root 20. You can write square root 20, it's easier. 4 and 16, 4 plus 16, that's same as 2 root 5. Okay, I'm just writing this because it's easier to write inside square root rather than outside. What about over here? Tan inverse 4 by 2, that is tan inverse of 2, it's positive 1.11 because it's approximately equal to 1. Now we'll not get the accurate answers as the final answer, but we'll get very, very close to it. Why? Because I'm just taking 2 decimal points. Let me take 4 decimal points here. Okay, how about this? 1.071. Okay, I've taken 4 decimal points. It'll be much more accurate this time. And we have to do, I'm directly going to write 20 square root 20 raised to the power 4. Then what do we have? Multiplied by cosine 4 times 1.1071 plus I sine 4 times 1.1071. 1.1071. Here we go. And then we just put this in the calculator. Square root 20, open it up. Sorry, not 4, power 4, yeah. It's not squared, it's power 4, it's 400. What about cosine and sine value? Cosine is 4 times 1.1071. It's minus 0.2. Minus 0.2802. I'm going to take 4 decimal points even over here. I times, just change this to sine. And here we go. It's minus again. This will be minus 0.9599. Now you have to multiply these with 400. So 400 times, I'll start with minus 0.2802. And the answer is minus 112.08 minus again 400 times, sorry, 400 times over here, minus 0.9599. And what is the answer? It's 383.96. It's almost 384, you can say. I'll write the 2 decimal points as well, because I was sticking to 4 decimal points, right? I'm just now reducing it. And that's the answer. See, it's almost 384 and it is almost over here 112. But if you had taken the exact value, then you would have got minus 112 minus 384. I forgot to write I here. This I is for the second part. That's the imaginary part. This is absolutely correct. What about this problem? I'm sure by now you are well and thorough with all these problems. R equals square root 3 square plus minus 6 the whole square. Theta equals tan inverse of b by a, that is minus 6 by 3. So here a is positive, so it's no plus pi. It's only so much. Square root 3 squared plus minus 6 the whole squared. The answer is 3 root 5. Just write it over here, 3 square root 5. That's it, r. What about theta? That's tan inverse of minus 2, because minus 6 by 3 will be minus 2. That's going to be minus 1.1071. It got the same thing, but we had got plus in the last problem. So now here, this 3 square root 5 would be raised to the power 5. We have to use the brackets, otherwise you won't get the correct answer. Plus next, now bracket power 4, sorry. And over here, open the brackets as well. So here it'll be this thing, 3 square root 5, the whole power 4. And over here we have cosine 4 times minus 1.1071 plus I sine 4 times minus 1.1071. Here this is 2025. It's here. And cosine 4, sorry, it's cosine 4 times minus 1.1071, that is minus 0.2802. And what about the next one? Just change it over here to sine. And here we go, it is plus 0.9599. And I hope you remember this. We just did it a while ago. And now these answers needs to be multiplied by 2025. That is minus 2.2802. And here we go, it is 567.4, 567.4. And lastly, we have plus. Okay, again, I missed the I. Don't forget the I. That's the imaginary part. Complex numbers have a real part and the imaginary part. Now here, it is just going to change to 9599. And it'll be, okay, it's minus. Sorry, it's plus. My bad, I put this minus by mistake. It's plus. So this has to be plus 1943.8. So that should be the final answer. Here we go. You can see this is minus 567, almost right. And over here we are nearly there. Why? Because we have not taken the exact value. We have taken 4 decimal points only. So that's how we solve these. Even over here, I just solved all of them, but you can just move ahead with the next topic because these are the same type of problems we are solving. R equals 2 squared plus 3 squared the whole square root. Theta equals tan inverse of 3 divided by 2. And in calculator, we type these both. So it is square root 2 squared plus 3 squared. The answer is square root 13. R is equal to square root 13. Theta will be tan inverse of, you can use a fraction or you can write 1.2, 1.5, that's 3 by 2. And here we go, it'll be theta is equal to 0.9828. And now the answer over here will be square root 13 the whole power 2 times cosine 2 times 0.9828 plus I sine 2 times 0.9828. Why is it 2? Because we are just raising it to the power 2. So this is going to be 13, that's it. But cosine 2 times 0.9828. Close the bracket. And that's minus 0.3846. That's 13. The square root cancels off and 13 will remain. Plus, what about sine here? Just change this to sine and you'll get the value. That is plus 0.I and then 0.9231. Now we have to multiply all these by 13. So it'll be 13 times minus 0.3846. And here we go. The value is, see, I'm just going to write 4 because even if you approximate it, it's going to be 4.99. It'll be 5 if you take 2 decimal points. Minus 5 plus what will be this value? It's going to be 13 times 0.9231, and that's going to be 12. So I 12I or I times 12, it's the same thing. So minus 5 plus 12I. So that will be the final answer. Here we go. Negative 5 plus 12I. Now this is an easy problem. Why? Because over here it's in the complex form, so we don't have to convert it. We directly use 3 power 3 times cosine 3 pi by 6 plus I sine. Again, it is 3 pi by 6, because 3 times pi by 6 would be over here. And then we put in the calculator. It's basically pi by 2. Okay, you can even do that. 3 squared will be 27, and cosine pi by 2, you know, it's 0, plus I over here, pi by 2 is 1I. So that is going to be 27I. That is the answer. But you can use please do use calculator to check the value. Cosine pi by 2 is 0. Sine pi by 2 will be, because I'm cancelling over here, 3 and 2, it will be pi by 2. Over here, pi by 2 will be 1. And real part is 0. Imaginary part remains. 27I is the answer. That's it. And even the last one is going to be an easy one. It's going to be 2 to the power 4 times cosine 4 pi pi 4 plus I sine 4 pi by 4. And now we will solve it up. 2 to the power 4, it's 816. That is multiplied by cosine. It's pi. That's 180 degrees. And that will be 180 degrees minus 1 plus I sine pi, that is 0. So here we will have 16 times minus 1 plus 0. So minus 16 must be the final answer. There's only real value, no negative value. So here the values were so easy to cancel off, so it was easily found out. Cosine pi, that's minus 1, so 16 times minus 1, but sine pi is 0, so therefore we get these answers. That is the end of this question. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, please consider rewatching the video or posting your doubts in the comments. I hope you all will head on to the next video.